post-archive faction founded in 2018 in South Korea by designer duo Dongjoon Kim and Sookyo Jeong. As time went on, more and more talented people joined the team, and now the crew is up to 11 people. This is a brand that has been making waves in South Korea since the beginning, but it only recently started to blow up and get its recognition in 2020 in North America. Post-archive faction, the name refers to a group that makes and represents what will become the archive of the future. And they're inspired from anything from nature to multimedia art to architecture. Actually, on the site itself, the team posted a playlist that they listen to when they work to feel inspired, and I think that's pretty interesting. In 2021, PAF was the semi-finalist for the LVMH Prize for Young Fashion Designers, and I don't think I need to say how prestigious of an award that is. Some of the designers on the jury that year include Marc Jacobs, Stella McCartney, J.W. Anderson, Virgil Abloh, just to name a few. PAF has been further globalizing this technical style that has started to become much more popular. And when I say technical, I don't quite mean tech wear, I more mean deconstructed sportswear slash ski wear with its own little futuristic twist to it. Something to note is that post-archive faction labels all their clothes as right, center, or left, and it's similar to politics where right is more safe, kind of what we're used to, while left is going to be more radical or more extreme, and center is just in the middle, of course. Now that is enough about the history, let's go straight into the design language and the collections itself. Now this was the very first collection from post-archive faction, and while it wasn't fully refined, a lot of the design elements that were found in this collection are still a part of the brand today. This collection and the brand itself was heavily inspired by futurism and science fiction. The clothes were very technical, being covered in straps, zip cords, and reflective tabs. Solid colors were used on almost every garment, and the palette was primarily black, white, and gray. Much of the fabric was nylon, polyester, or a blend. And while I did say the colors were primarily shades, there were a few exceptions, like this dark purple color, this yellow long sleeve shirt, and this neon orange pouch that looks like a t-shirt sleeve. They also included these cool little arm sleeves of different colors, which I think is a nice, simple little detail that just makes the entire outfit stand out a bit more. And this down jacket here was a staple and will come back through the further seasons, and I think it's super interesting to see how their down jackets develop and evolve. All in all, I think it was a pretty good start, and like every single new brand, they were still kind of trying to find their own niche. A lot of development has occurred between the prototype collection and this 2.0 collection, and if you know what the newer collections at post-archive faction look like, this one will seem much more familiar to the brand. Compared to the first collection, this one didn't use many bold colors, and instead they opted for only like shades and also tan and olive, adopting a very dry and wasteland type palette. Now the opening look is crazy. It is all black with straps flying all over the place, and what is more apparent with a closer look is that the straps are from the pants and the blazer being cut out and layered. It's deconstructed perfectly to look like the model is crumbling at the bottom. The legs and arms have the most cutting and fraying, and the effect makes it look damaged, but in a very aesthetically pleasing way because the cuts are all super clean. There's no rough edges to them. And also, I forgot to mention that these are just collections, they're not shows, so everything that you see that they're wearing, like all the clothing, you can actually buy on the store. Like, you can actually buy this. And that is a central theme within this collection and an overall theme within the entire design language, which is disassembly and assembly. Now these specially designed shoes look just absolutely robotic. The use of hard lines and sharp shapes on a flexible body part only builds onto the mechanical and structural design language. The classic down jacket, a signature, return of course, but this time it has two different styles. Now this one is labeled left and is covered in these down straps, and you can just disassemble and assemble them. The next one, which is labeled right, it looks like a regular down jacket, but instead it looks like it's cinched from the inside and not the outside, which gives it this cool wrinkling effect, but it's still also like, it keeps its shape very well. So they put in a lot of work to make it very structurally strong. I can't even imagine the amount of trial and error that went into this simple looking jacket. Here are some other examples of the left and right differences that both stem from the same base piece. This collection is centered around the physical and emotional fractures that humans can suffer. The established design language from the 2.0 collections returned, but with more progression this time. While the previous collections both had the models' faces covered, this collection decided to expose parts of their faces on most looks. When COVID came around and everybody started to wear masks, a new functional clothing piece was introduced, and I think PAF very effectively adopted this new mask that everybody's wearing and used it in a way that fits the collection perfectly, which I honestly think is an underrated task. Many looks contain masks that only cover part of the places it is supposed to cover, don't even cover at all, which is obviously not the point of a mask, but masks portray the physical fractures and emotional trauma of the human head from the theme of this collection. This mask literally looks like a net cast. This collection shows shoes with nails sticking in it, hoodies with long strings to look like hair attached to the hood, which reminds me of teen angst and anger, and clothing that looks like it is both cracking and artificially attached together. The cutouts and patches in this collection adopt a less straight form, and what I mean is that there are no standard shapes or straight lines involved in the cutouts. It is very roughly sewn together. Color makes a much larger mark in this collection with the full red looks and color blocking of those same cracked jackets and pants. A personal favorite garment of mine in this collection would be these pants here. It does an amazing job in capturing a vibe of a fractured knee that was repaired in the classic PAF mechanical design language. It looks like it should be part of a robotic animal. And this collection focused a lot less on outerwear and much more on hoodies, collared shirts, windbreakers, and etc. That's because it is a spring-summer collection after all. This collection, hence the name, was mostly a continuation of the 3.0 collection, and Post-Archive Faction was actually able to present this collection during Men's Paris Fashion Week in the showroom that year. Much of the collection was almost a winterized version of 3.0, with a few down jackets labeled 1.2 as an evolved form of the 1.0 collection, like this reflective down jacket. I find that they're very good with taking pieces and evolving them as collections go on, as there's always improvements to be made in everything. Symmetrically cut out down jackets and cut out pants in the shape of those same down jackets were two of the most popular pieces to come out of this collection. There were also puffy jackets that were covered with a solid layer of fabric to give it a popping out effect, which is definitely a continuation of the broken jackets from the 3.0 collection. Another thing I found really cool was how they inversed that internal kneecap pants from last season. The last season one had that robotic looking knee, while this one has a baggy external kneecap, which doesn't sound too cool on paper, but on body it just looks awesome. The kneecap folds over perfectly, and the color block knee is a nice finishing touch. All in all, this was not supposed to be a full collection, but more of a natural evolution from the previous one. In this collection, PAF focuses on movement of the human body, and that's why every single look is on top of this treadmill-like thing. The great people on the team actually made a vlog for the season's lookbook, and they show a bit of the inspiration and how the photo shoot came together. They wanted to present this collection in a way that shows the physical movement of the clothes and put together this station drapey walkway type thing. Compared to the previous seasons, this one is more sportswear inspired, as this collection is all about movement. The clothes are much more slim and it seems to have a lot more function as opposed to before, as they're much more convertible. Building on the 3.0 season, construction that flows diagonally upwards have returned, this time with more zippers than before that gives each piece an easy 2-in-1 convertible shape kind of thing, where you can leave the zips down for a straight look or zips up for a wide look. Collared shirts have concealed hoods as well, And there are panels on the clothes where your joints are located that stretch to your movement. The cutout clothes return, but this time on shirts in an interesting butterfly-esque shape. But they probably intended it to depict the ribs and the internal body. Or maybe it's both. Or neither, who really knows. Also, a new yellow color was introduced to the post-archive faction world. This is probably my favorite collection so far, as you can really tell they improved a ton from the beginning. I find their vision of each collection grows more and more concise as the seasons go on. Similar to the 3.1 collection, 4.0 Plus is not really a unique collection and mostly reinterprets signature garments of the past. Most of the reinterpretations from further seasons back are quite similar to the originals, but in different colors. However, a few were redefined into different pieces altogether, such as these jackets or the polar fleece. A cool thing to note was that some of the clothes that were marked left in the past were now marked center, and some of the clothes that were marked center in the past were now marked right. The more we see and get used to unique designs, the more they appear more regular. So the designs travel more towards the right end of the spectrum, and that kind of makes room for the new and futuristic designs to come in, which I found to be a pretty interesting detail. Also, this collection introduced many new types of products like gloves, scarves, and even pillowcases and duvet covers, which just shows that post-archive faction was always more than just the clothes. It's an artistic design language. Post-archive faction is a pretty new brand with an already distinct design language, and I cannot stress how difficult that is to achieve so quickly. That's kind of where a lot of new brands seem to struggle, but when you see a PAF piece, you can tell it's a PAF piece. The use of color blocking, technical fabrics, mechanical structures, and deconstruction has already put them into international fame. And recently they had a collaboration with Fila, where they reinterpreted some of the archives of the streetwear brand. So what does the future hold, you may ask? Well, Dongjoon Lim himself has stated in a Hypebeast interview that he wants to further explore other creative outlets such as furniture, tools, objects, or installations, which they have actually successfully done in March 2021. They had an art exhibit in Seoul called The Final Cut, and that's where all the transition footage comes from. Also, the 5.0 collection is set to come out sometime this year in 2022, which I'm looking forward to. Post-archive faction is unpredictable, and every single new or updated detail and shape is unique. So who knows what's gonna come next? All I can say and will say is I'm very excited for the future of this brand. Thank you so much for watching.